so beautifully, written so beautifully. I needed more romance. I can write a whole essay on that book. I read a lot of strong females that are carrying stuff by themselves, and this book was crazy. Hey chapter besties, what's up and welcome back to another video. We are doing our November reading recap. We read 13 books, 1 historical fiction, 1 suspense, 8 romances, and 3 romance novellas. They were extremely short. They might be called nov instead of novellas. But anyway, we did a total of 3,953 pages, which I think was my second highest month this year. I think January was highest. I read a lot of books this month, so we need to hop into it and talk about them all. So the first book I read was The Dust Bowl Orphans by Suzette Harrison. I called her Harris last time, so I wanted to make sure I got that correct. Suzette Harris, and this book was phenomenal. I rated it 5 stars. It's a historical fiction, and it literally made me want to go get more of her books. I definitely will be reading one of her books again this month. Phenomenal story of 2 young girls who were, so this is a real event, and that's the one thing that I want to say about historical fictions. I love when they are based on real events and just things happening, like a fictional story told behind it. But anyway, it is about 2 girls who lose their family during the Dust Bowl, and I think it was Oklahoma, and you can Google all this. This is a real thing. The dust had got so bad to the point where they lost their way and their family that was trying to leave this situation or whatever. And they, along the journey, is just trials and tribulations, but in present day is being told of another young lady's stories, and the way that their stories intertwine, so beautifully done. I love when authors bring the past and the present together, and if that's your cup of tea, you will absolutely love this book. It's one of the books that I would highly recommend for readers that are trying to get into historical fiction, or you're trying to just dabble in it a little bit. This will completely blow your mind because it's sucked in with present day, like real life, 2025, 2024, whatever, and you get a feel of that past and that present. So yes, definitely highly recommend that. The next book I read was Sweet Heat by Bolu Babulola, which is a 5-star book for me. Y'all know your girl loves the second chance romance. I am a sucker. It's not too many second chance romances out there that I will rate under 4 stars. It's just it would have to be a little bit off in some way, or I wouldn't have to not just hate the character to rate it anything below a 4-star. But this was told so beautifully, written so beautifully. I am straight up will tell you that the book before this, which is called Honey and Spice, when it first started out, I could not get with the writing. I did not like it at all. And by the end of it, I ended up rating it 4 stars. And so this is the sequel to Malachi and Kiki's story. So for me, this is just my advice. I would not read this book until you read Honey and Spice. And the reason is because you won't appreciate their journey, you won't appreciate their story, you won't appreciate it like the 5-star extent that it is if you don't get a taste of them in their college days in the beginning. So they met in college, they had like a not so meet cute or whatever, and I think I want to say this is like 5 years later or something like that, they end up having to be a part of their best friend's wedding because his male best friend, they're all a group of friends, and so that's how they come back together. And it's just, the writing was impeccable, everything was just told so wonderfully, it was believable, right? The angst was there, that desire was there, that just right person, wrong time, sort of a misunderstanding, but not to the point where the miscommunication would annoy you. Just beautifully told, beautifully written. Bolu Babulola is an incredible author, and I can't wait for this to come to screen. I think Honey and Spice is coming to screen. So the next book that I read was Let Me Love You by Alexandria House. And for those who don't know, my family has a book club. We call ourselves the Reading Relatives. And this was our book club pick of the month. And we was in that chat going off, y'all, like for real, for real. So this follows Big South and Joe. And basically, Joe is in a very bad situation and she's working at this jewelry place, and the owner says, hey, I need you to drop this piece off to somebody. And when she goes to this place, she finds out that this is like a big person, there's guards, there's, you know, whatever. So when she walks in, she sees Big South and he's in a compromising situation. So she kind of throws the chain at him, and she's very sassy with him and just abrasive. Like she don't care that he's a rapper. And he kind of likes that. So he ends up trying to find her and courts her. And when I tell y'all, this book is messy and it's spicy. The mess in this book between the baby father, the baby mama, there was a twist at the end that you don't really see in romances, and it really got me because, and we talked about this last night in the book club, in our book club meeting, about how there were signs that the twist was what it was, but I still just couldn't wrap my head around it. I was just, you don't see that in romance books a lot. I did end up rating it 4 stars. And I do plan to finish the series. It is part of the McLean Brothers series. So I do plan to finish that series. I just, yeah, I don't want to say highly recommend, but it was a good book for me. Then, you know, I was on a roll at this point. So I'm telling you guys, you know, in the order that I read this, because these were my feelings at the time. I needed more romance. So I love Alexandria Lachelle. I read Loved by You, which I did a whole complete video on because I absolutely loved it. And she had a second book come out this year, which is in this series, and it's called Lily in the Valley, and highly recommend it. I rated it 5 stars. It really was a 6-star read, to be honest. If you have any inner childhood trauma, it could be triggering for you, but it could also be healing for you at the same time. These 2 characters had stuff individually and totally different going on in their homes, and there were so many scenes throughout this book that I could resonate with, that I could literally feel like I was in the book, feeling these emotions, like that these characters were. I'm trying not to get emotional right now, oh my gosh. Feeling these emotions that these characters were going through. And the writing, you want to talk about poetic writing, if you love a Kennedy Ryan, I mean, you will absolutely love this girl. She's a new author. This is only like her 3rd book, I want to say, and her first book came out last year, if I'm not mistaken, this time last year. So it's just, I absolutely loved it. It follows, let me tell y'all what it was about. It follows Kelly and Khalil, and Kelly and Khalil were childhood friends, and I don't even know how to describe how I want to say this. Let me get a synopsis, because sometimes, and I'm not even going to lie, sometimes I have to refilm stuff because I'll get so excited that I'll give all the tea, and then y'all won't want to come back because y'all gonna be saying I spoiled the book, and I don't want that, and I would never want to do that to somebody. So anyway, the little blurb on Amazon says, medical student Kelly Reed and businessman Khalil Grant confront past traumas and grief as they navigate love and the healing in this emotional romance. And this book takes you over the course of months, but it just doesn't, it was so magical. Kelly and Khalil coming together, the things that they had to do to heal themselves before they actually got together, the things that they did to heal while they were together, it just was incredible. And I'm gonna leave it at that because I can write a whole essay on that book, for real. Dissertation at that. We can go there. So next I read When I Should Have Stayed by Max Monroe, and this is where I messed up. So I read the first book in this series, cried my eyes out because it has a sensitive topic in it that kind of just, you know, gets me. And super duper excited for When I Should Have Stayed by Max Monroe. It was a letdown. I rated it 3 stars. It was more like 2.5 to be honest. The only reason why it got 3 stars is because it was a second chance romance. I will say this. It was a lot of redundant information from the first book, just from a different perspective, but it told the same story, and I think that's where the disconnect was. So if you decide to read this, I personally would read this one, skip this one, and then go to the 3rd book whenever that comes out. I think it comes out this month or either next year. I'm talking about this month. This just came out. I would not read this. I would not waste my time on this, honestly. It just was a major letdown. And like I said, I think it's due to the fact that it was a retelling of the first book. I felt like I was reading the first book over and just getting a little bit of perspective of Josie and what was the male main character's name? Josie and Clay's story. So they were in a relationship before a tragedy happens and Josie just kind of freaks out and her and Clay are just done. And so Clay doesn't know what the heck happened because she's one of those people that carries everything on their shoulders by themselves. And we know those people. We probably are those people. And that was the only depth in the book, and the thing that I could resonate with the most is carrying something so heavy that you just shut down. And that was Josie in the book. But so then I read, my cousin sent this to me on Instagram, and this is where things got revived for me. I was excited to read again. Heart of a Goon by Jacquel J. And if y'all know Jacquel J, y'all know she is literally the queen of urban romance. I'm talking about thug love, I'm talking about ghetto love, I'm talking about the violence. Like, she's the queen of it all with a lot of romance mixed in it. And so this particular book follows one of the Caselli sisters, or siblings, not sisters, Caselli siblings, Zoya and Goon, and you kind of meet them in the book, I think Don's book. Yeah, read him a month or 2 ago. You kind of meet Goon there, but if you are a part of the world, I think you meet Goon a long time ago. So I messed up, and I still rated this 5 stars. I messed up because I need to start from Capone and work my way down, and which I will be doing starting next year, or, you know, starting maybe this month, just going back through the series, because there were a lot of characters in Heart of Goon that I was able to follow, but I feel like I would have been able to follow a little bit more had I've been more familiar with Capone, Capadona, Kasim, and all of them. Like, if you're part of the world, then you know what I'm talking about. But I was still able to follow the story. So Goon and Zoya. Zoya is another one. I read a lot of strong females that are carrying stuff by themselves and not wanting people to know about the depths of their anxiety and things like that. And so Zoya was one of those characters where she just had a lot going on. And the twist again in this romance, you understood, now she's going to get on your nerves because it's like you're self-sabotaging this relationship, you're acting stupid, you know, she's going to get on your nerves. But when that twist in that, you know, that moment comes in the book, you kind of have compassion on her. You're just like, wow, I totally get why she is the way that she is, or why she did the things that she did. It is a story of second chances. It's a story of new beginnings. It's a story of Goon being the type of man that loves her where she is. Like, he loves all of her, the negative parts of her, the angry parts of her, the happy parts of her. He loves her for her, and he wants all of her, and she just can't give that. And so it tells the story, and then it leaves on a cliffhanger. I don't know if that's going to be Cora, the other siblings story, that's coming out December 11th. I don't know if it's going to be finished up in there or if there's something else coming out. I don't know, but I'm excited either way. I'm gonna read that book because I did read the Caselli family, and I think she is the last book in that installment. But yeah, I would recommend it, you know, especially if you are a part of that world. Sometimes when I read a Jacquel J book, I can't get enough of her. and I have to go read another one of her books. So I read Emotionless by her, and I ended up rating it 3 stars. I think this is one of her early books. I think she said in the first few pages it was a first attempt at contemporary romance or something like that. But anyway, it was a cute insta love story. It follows Happy, which is the female main character, in Cult, and basically Happy is going on a vacation with her sister, and she runs into Cult in the airport. Only Cult is her pilot, and so they end up at the same resort, and they have this thing. So when they get back in town, Happy lives in Alpharetta. If you're from Georgia, you kind of know the distance that I'm about to say. Happy is from Alpharetta, and he's living in Lawrenceville. So you're talking about maybe 35 minutes apart from each other, give or take what part of Lawrenceville and Alpharetta you were in. I live in Georgia, somewhere in the middle of that. And she's another female main character that will irritate you, because there is a trope in here where I don't really like, and that's partly probably why I rated it 3 stars. I just did not like Happy as a female main character. I felt she played in Cult's face a lot. Let me see if I can find it on, give you the, this says it's part of the series, but I can't find the series anywhere. Yeah, so there's no clip of it, or no, like, you know, blurb of it. So I'll just say this. I'll read my Goodreads note. Follows Happy and Cult, who have a really meet cute story. They bump into each other at the airport. Cult is a pilot, single father navigating tragedy, while Happy is in a 4-year relationship desiring marriage, children, and all the things. They both have much baggage and trauma, but they feel safe and comfort with each other, and the story goes from there. So yeah, that was good enough. It was just okay, because like I said, Happy was a female main character that just irritated my entire spirit. So I needed something quick, because at this point in my life I was PMSing badly. Can I Come Over by Takara, okay? This book was crazy. It's an erotica, y'all. I was in my feels. I was PMSing. I had a very bad attitude. I didn't want to get out of bed. Yeah, so I read an erotica to try to lift my spirits some way or another. Anyway, if you love spice, obviously you know that you'll get something out of this story. But this novella got straight to the point. It follows Shane and Nova. They were next door neighbors. Nova just moved in. Shane saw her, and he kind of waited a little bit until he saw her struggling with bringing in her groceries, and so he approaches her, and you know, things happen. I rated it 3 stars. It was nothing groundbreaking, nothing that's gonna make you go wow, you know, just nothing. It was just something that I needed to do in my life at that time. Anyway, Spin About You by Brandon was the next book I read. This was a Thanksgiving novella. I read this in the same day that I read this book. Again, in my feels, but this one was really, really good. I rated it 4 stars. It definitely felt like a short story that was put together very well, even at 56 pages. It follows, I didn't write down, Grace with a Y and Gerard. And so Grace goes up to this cabin for a Friendsgiving with her college friends, and Gerard comes in as an extra guest, but nobody really knows who he is except one of the guys there. And so Gerard basically makes it known that he likes Grace, and they end up, you know, in a situation. But the thing is, does she want to pursue something outside of this Friendsgiving weekend? And then that's the gist of the story. So it's cute, it's short, it's to the point, great for anyone who is busy. If you want to get into reading, this will help you, you know, get into something more longer. I would recommend it for sure. So then I read There's Pumpkin About You by Athena Carstairs, and I think I said her name right. I rated this book 3 stars. It was a cute fall romance. So it follows, it's a grumpy sunshine small town romance. The one thing that I did love about it, and I said this in the upcoming vlog, is it focused on autistic. So the male main character, whose name was, I don't know, He is autistic, but he's functional. And so I have a lot of people in my family on the spectrum, from the high end to the low end. Some who are just completely nonverbal, need assistance, and then some who are highly functional, super duper smart. You would think they were misdiagnosed. And that's what it's shedding light on, the fact that just because you function in your autism does not mean that you're misdiagnosed, does not mean you need to be treated any differently than somebody who is on the spectrum and who is nonverbal. And so that's what the male main character is suffering with. She's an event planner. She sees his barn on the internet, decides that she wants to use it, and he's just like, he's in his own situation. And she kind of convinces him, and then it goes from there. And when I tell you it was grumpy sunshine, there was literally little to no spice. By the time they did it, the book was 80% in, and then that was it. You only see like one scene of them doing it, and it was at 80%, and you don't see no more after that. So yeah. Then I read Tell Me What You Did by Carter Wilson, which I rated 3 stars, but it's probably more like 2. The ending, this was the suspense book. The ending was super underwhelming. I was highly irritated by the fact that I wasted my time. This was supposed to be a buddy read, but my friend, she got really busy. Her son got sick and everything, so it was just a lot going on at the time. And yeah, good thing she didn't waste her time with this, because she's a new reader. And this would completely, the ending was super duper underwhelming. So it follows Poe. She's a podcast host, and she has people come on her podcast to admit to their crimes. And there's only a couple of crimes that she won't tolerate. I think animal abuse and child molestation or something like this. Something about a child. Anyway, this guy, Ian, comes onto her podcast and basically says, hey, I killed your mother. The only thing is, Poe knows that's not true, because Poe killed her mother's killer. And then the story is told from there. I love the short chapters of the book, which you'll see in the vlog. That's coming up soon. And I also love the fact that... What did I love? Oh, I think I love something else too. I love the short chapters. Oh, and I loved it being told. So I love when suspenses are told what happens leading up to that. So they give you present day of what happened. So the event happened, everything that transpired happened on October 31st. And then it goes 2 weeks prior, and it leads up to that, and then it tells what happens after that. So yeah, that's the only real reason why it got 3 stars. It was just, the ending just did not give what it was supposed to give at all. Next, I read Tempted by Danger by India Carter, which I rated 5 stars. I love this. This is book number 1 in the Danger series, which is a group of brothers who are rich. Your girl loves a black man that is a thug in the streets, but in the boardroom, he's wearing a 3-piece suit with a Rolex and is talking like he has some sense. That's Diamond and Quincy, and I love the play on their names, because you would think Diamond is a girl's name, but it was the male main character's name, and Quincy is a boy's name, but it is the female main character's name, but she spells hers at the end with an I, and he spells his name D-Y-M-O-N. Anyway, Diamond and Quincy have, this is a story, a workplace romance, let me say that. And Quincy is kind of green in certain areas of life, we'll leave it at that. And she ends up moving from this small town in Florida to New York to work as an assistant for Diamond, who is the CEO of his company. And he has been running this place for 4 years now, and there's, you know, a lot of story behind that I won't get into. And they end up seeing each other, and there's an attraction there, right? But the thing is, he has a very strict no fraternization policy due to a previous scandal. And when I tell you this man is strict about that, he is strict about that. And he is grumpy because his past was really heartbreaking, hearing how he came to be and stuff like that. And it's not even what you think it is. I know instantly you'll think of the art. No, it's totally, you would never even guess it at all. It just completely, I love the story and the uniqueness of the story. And so he's a grumpy due to his past, and it's understandable completely. And so he ends up trying to do everything to get Quincy fired because there's a no frat policy. Well, anyway, they come to this place and they have this moment, and I'm just gonna stop right there and in this portion of the video talking about Tempted by Danger, because the spice was spicing and I highly recommend it. I cannot wait personally to finish the series. Super duper excited. So the last book I read was Effing Under the Mistletoe. This was a novella by Brienne Dene. This is the second book in the holiday series of hers, and it follows Aspen and Ty. And Aspen and Ty dated back in the day or whatever, and he ended up leaving to go into, well, I don't know if I should say that. I don't think it really matters, but I'll just leave it out. He ends up leaving or whatever, and when he comes back for the holidays, he runs into Aspen and he's like, this is not just coincidental, this is for a purpose, and he pursues her and it goes from there. So that's cute. I wrote in my Goodreads that that is cute to read on either like Christmas Eve or Christmas Day when you're just chilling. It's a novella, it's like 56 pages, something you can read within an hour. It was great. I had a really good reading month and I cannot wait for December. I'm going to end this vlog. If you read any of these books or plan to read any of these books, let me know in the comments. Also, let me know what you read. I'm open to suggestions. If you have heard anything in here and it's like something that I like, please drop the book below and I would love to read it. In the meantime, I will see you guys all tomorrow for Vlogmas Day 2. Bye! Hey y'all, happy December. Welcome to another reading cap. Yeah, that's what we're calling it now, Ange. A reading cap, huh? Okay. Reading cap.